Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. This is a very non-bingo-y rack. So, is this one of the valid spellings of Kazi? Yes, it is. And this is a nice rack. Fairly close to a bingo, despite the V and the W. I would have wave suns through an O or an N. A parallel play to Kazi is likely, so there may not be any new floaters to consider. But do I have a 7 with this rack? Yes, I do. I have swarves. It doesn't play at the moment. Kazi doesn't take an S. So, as it stands, I have no playable bingo. However, I certainly haven't given up on there being one. Let me try and keep an open mind with regard to 7s and 8s. So that would be sea wives through an I. That would be sea wives through an E. Okay, let me reset this. So anywhere for swarves? No, that's pretty disappointing. What about the available floaters? How about the B? That doesn't look good. How about the L? That does look a little better. I would have the less and ness ending, but not with this L or N. So I'd need to use the blank for that and use vor. Not seeing anything there. How about the U? Doesn't look good. How about the A? No. How about the R? Is there any variant on swarves? Gosh, this is frustrating. Not seeing anything with the Z or the Y. Let me go back to the exercise I was conducting, and I think I was up to about G. Possibly waveless, but no E. That would be wave suns through an O. Wave suns through an N. That is swarves, but I'm not seeing an 8. That's a lot of S's. No, absolutely seeing nothing, which is a shame. To what extent should I carry on looking? I don't think I shall, but it's not an easy rack to play from in the absence of a bingo, because I really want to just play off V and W, and I'm not seeing a way of doing that. Wayless may be good, but that doesn't use the V. Zar is good, but then I can't play off my V or W. Gosh, this is ridiculously hard. Vors for 26. I'm tempted to do this. I think this is a super strong 3-letter set. And opponent probably won't bingo through the V. Okay, well, I surely do have a bingo here, despite the duplicates. So what about the L? That's a double lane. Well, I have soldered through that. That may be blocked if opponent plays down onto the V from a sufficiently high vantage point. So what else do I have? Well, soldered through the R, so I am bingoing, as I rather hoped I might, with a rack leave of ES blank. Now, supposing opponent doesn't play through the V, he does, great, and just 30 points, which is an average score, so I certainly haven't been punished by opening the board up. What about a play through the D? Through the A, rather, placing the D on this triple letter square. So this rack plus a D, something like DO dates. Well, let me see what this scores. It doesn't get the D tripled, but it's still fine. 70 points and soldered. Also 70. I think this is a safer play. DO dates for 70. Pretty horrendous. Very unbalanced. Lots of duplicates. No scoring tiles. I've created hotspots at the top and bottom of column 1. Not massively dangerous, but with some potential for danger. For example, if a high scoring tile were placed on this double letter square. Now, how to sort this rack out? I've no expectations of scoring with it, and there are very few available vowels. So can I get value from the Z? No. Well, no, I've only got a D for going in front, and I can't get that to score twice. Now, I could play rind and pretty open. I could also play that here. That may spook opponent in terms of row O, may make him play a short two-letter play for not many points. This rack leave is quite good, and if I draw vowels, it's very good. 14 points is dismal. Let me just put this back. Do I have a woven play? So a play beginning N-E. No, I don't think I do. I don't have anything beginning with I. What about a play beginning with W? Nothing. Yon is good. So I could play Nid, but I'd much rather sort out all the duplicates. I could play TIRR, but that keeps duplicate N. I am going with rind for 14. Fairly good. I do draw a couple of vowels, and the Y is a quasi-vowel. I'm not immediately seeing a bingo with this rack. I have a 90-point lead. Rindy is good, and I've got the Y, so great, and that remains available. I don't think there's a huge score available in row O, but I might as well take out its hotness, especially as I have a 60-point lead, and in any event, it might simply be the best spot for me to play in. So I can play Toya for 36, which is a pretty good score. Is there an alternative I should be considering? I think I do need to split up the R's. Or rather, just taking account of score and rack leave, I'm not seeing anything better than Toya. Yeah, I am going with this. Again, just the solitary vowel, so could be a vowel surfeit towards the end of the game. And the board's looking fairly tight. There are bingo lanes on this board, but it's not a wide open board. Yod takes E, H, and S. Great, just 24 points. I don't think there are any three-letter extensions to Toya. I've got an E for Yod, nothing goes after Zoa. So what I'd like to do with this rack is play off B and N. The rest of the rack is really good. But how can I play off B and N? Very, very tricky. And I think it's the lack of vowels which is the problem. If I had more vowels, I could just play parallel to blunks for an averagey score. But without vowels, I'm really, really stuck. And I'm only 70 points ahead, so I'm really reluctant to change. So do I have a woven play? Well, I do, but I don't like it. I think Nertz is good. 25 points. I am inclined to play this, I just haven't seen anything better. That's 25. What about changing B and N? I'm going to change. I think this rack leave of rents is really strong. If I draw just one vowel, it's approaching monster territory. My only reservation is that I may have a bingo but nowhere to play it. Just wondering about changing the N as well to reduce the chances of drawing only consonants, and I will. I'm keeping rest. Wow. And I draw 3 consonants. How irksome. Having specifically retained one and played off a bingo-y tile. And now look at my lead down to just 50 points. And there's no way this is close to a bingo. And the end spot has gone. Wow, what to do here? Just no vowels to play through. I'm going to change again. And throw back the 3 I drew. And I do have a vowel. A further vowel, so right away I can see I have Jeet parallel to blunk, which will be a decent score. What is opponent going to do? There are so few spots to play. Now I have ramjets. I do have a bingo on my rack. Nowhere to play it right now. And still nowhere to play it. And opponent has frustrated the Jeet spot. Gosh, how annoying. Ramjets, lovely word. Nowhere for it. I have jetsam on my rack. So I'm looking to play off the J. I can do that here for 22 points, and this is quite a good rack leave. And again, it's the case that were I to draw one vowel, this would be very strong, but the same reservation applies to the board. It's a non-bingo-y board, and some of the bingo lanes require bingos to start with vowels, and I really would need to draw 2 vowels to increase my chances of that happening. Anyway, it's not a desperate situation. I do still lead. My opponent is facing the same board as I'm facing. So can I do anything better than jar? 9 minutes on my clock, but only 40 tiles left. I am going with this. Great, well, I have tempers and nowhere for it. Are there any 2-letter sets I haven't considered? Well, there's NO. I've taken out the B. There's the F, nothing doing there. Through a P, I may have preempts. Empty as through an I. Still one blank to come. Does tempers have an anagram? I don't think impressed is good, so I'm not going to try that. Do I have anything beginning with ab? I don't. Yod, as mentioned, takes an E, but any play going out from that is going to provide scoring opportunities for opponent, and right now I lead by 60 points, so despite the frustrations of not getting my bingos down, the board is serving to hamper my opponent from bingoing, and it's more important for my opponent to bingo than it is for me to do so. Fantastic, here we go. Tempers for 68. Not bad. Some of the vowels are now coming out to play. Battener onto an R. A couple of floaters, R and S. Not seeing anything through the S. How about the R? Does Battener have an anagram? Don't think so. I don't have a decent play across the top of tempers with the B over the E because I have no vowel to go in front of the P. Now I lead by 110. What is opponent going to do? Just E and V. Seb takes an S, nothing else. So how about BPAT? I am retaining one vowel. This is a fairly decent 3-letter set. This isn't providing very much for opponent. Seb is incredibly blocky because opponent can't play parallel to either side. B, not a useful bingo tile. So bingo lanes mainly rows K and N. Neither particularly dangerous, and BPAT is 30 points. Great, I draw the X for score, and I'm now 130 points in the lead. Remaining tiles pretty bingo-y. Look at this. Just the F as a non-bingo-y tile, really. Possibly the U's. So I'm definitely not home and dry. And I'm certainly not in a position to bingo with this rack. I do have Ox in row N and X in that spot for about 20 odd points. And I definitely don't want to have any more breaking in my scoring. I want to be hammering 20, 30, 40 point plays or bingos from here on in. Earlier on in the game I changed twice. 0 points. That cannot happen from now on in. Okay, opponent has opened the board up. Echo takes E, T, O. So I can do something quite nice here. I can play next, and it's nice because Ect takes nothing after it. So this is taking out a lot of bingo lanes, really just bingos down from the H. The slight danger is that an opponent can get 30 or 40 points playing a non-bingo in column 13. And this rack leave is pretty sub-ideal, and I'm only getting 31 points. So let me pause. Is there any way of getting the X tripled? What about playing Ox? Well, that has the same risk of plays over the top of it. Having dismissed this as a bingo-y rack, I do need to satisfy myself of that. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. What about a play through the H, perhaps getting the X doubled? No, I am going to go back to next. I've got a big lead over 100 points, so if opponent does have a non-bingo for 30 points, that's not fatal for me. So 31 points. Not bad. And although I draw the non-bingo-y tile in the F, that's actually quite useful for my purposes because I can use it for score. So, for example, I could play Foe. Not a great rack leave. Wow, fantastic bingo for opponent. However, look at this, only 63 points, so I still lead by about 80. And I have this. I have Foe for 41 points, which is just 20 points less than opponent got for his bingo. Now, can I do better than Foe? 6 minutes on my clock. Is there any bingo here? Fellation through an E and an N. No sevens that I can see. Do I have anything in column 15? Arley, not good. So I'm not seeing any three-letter plays ending in I. I think it does need to be faux for 41. And now for the first time in the game, I have a vowel-heavy rack. Sometimes you have games where most of your racks are vowel-heavy. Not this one for me. Through an R, I would have late trial. Still 2 Rs to come. Opponent may stick one out in the open. I lead by 130. I lead by 100. And having said earlier that it's imperative to keep scoring 20 or 30 points, that is a big ask with this rack. However, the board is super tight. And there are no E's to come, so the pool is not bingo-y. I am short on time. So what can I score in areas of the board where I'm not opening bingo lanes? No L's to come, so duplicate L, not the worst thing in the world. I don't have anything for going between I and E. Wow. How about that? It's not terrible. It's not terrible. 12 points, that's pretty shocking. But the rack leave isn't terrible. I don't need E's for bingos. I'm providing nothing. 4 minutes on my clock. Gosh, I thought I had a bingo for the moment in A-let, but that would need one of my L's to be a T. I don't think I'm missing a bingo. Now, what about Eld here? 14 points, a much better rack leave, slightly vulnerable to drawing an I, but I'm really not providing anything at all. I am going with this. Great, I dodged the I's. I lead by 100. The game is not won, but there's only the P as a scoring tile to come. So I think I am a large favourite, but not a massive favourite. But even if I were, I am not home and dry. Great, just 17 points for opponent. Just wondering if there's a 7 here. I'm not seeing it. C can be a tricky tile to play because there's only CH as a 2-letter play. And I don't want to create any bingo lanes at all. So maybe now 3 tiles to come, so I'm looking to play off just 2 tiles. And I think I'd like the U to be one of them. Where can I play off 2 tiles? 3 minutes on my clock. I need to play off 2 tiles and not provide any opportunity for opponent, and I'd like the U to be one of those tiles. And I did have somewhere in mind. Well, it was Uta or Ute. So let me play Uta for 3 points. Well, I do draw an I. I wonder if there was an opportunity to have played off the U and the I on my previous move. 1 tile in the bag. Opponent may well have a bingo. He may have Erning. Just wondering. Okay, here we go. So, opponent now trails by 25 points, 2 minutes on my clock. I think I should be able to score enough to win here, but do I have a bingo? Probably nothing through the I. What about the G? What about the N? Not seeing anything. How about the R? Perlitic, perhaps? Not seeing anything. So I can play Pell across here, which I think is going to be big enough to win. Well, what about Pencil? For 26, that is surely going to be enough, given that opponent only has the N on his rack. So let me have one more think about this. What about the I? Epilytic? I don't think so. How about a bingo through the G? No, what about a bingo through the N? No, are there any other lanes I haven't considered? There's a 7-letter lane, there's NO. I've got the epi prefix, I've got the ic ending. No, I'm not seeing anything better than pencil for 26. So opponent's just got an A, and I'm not going to look for where he's going to play that. He will be playing it somewhere. So he's got IN underneath Saring. But I lead by over 50 points. And opponent is only going to get 4 points on countback. So was there a bingo with that last rack? We'll find out shortly. And the final score, 390 for my opponent, 433 for me, a winning margin of 43 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. That game felt like it took a long time. Now, it was me to go first, and I had a great start with Kazi. Opponent's rack. No bingo, plays Blunk. And this is where I stuttered. I couldn't see a bingo. And look at this, there is none. And I won Vors, that was my play. Gosh, and nothing obviously better. I'm surprised. What I may have played if I'd seen it is Wavies. Only 7 fewer points. And a lot less volatile. But I played Vors. Opponent plays Wove. And now I have Deodates for 70. Yeah, I'm just checking that that's where I played it. And a ton of other lesser bingos. Opponent's rack, and he does have vowels, so that's why we didn't have a massive vowel glut at the end. Basically, opponent had the vowels during the game, and I didn't. Now my rack, and this is again one I struggled with, K1. Ah, nerd, NRD. Why didn't I see that? Gosh, that would have been a fine play. What do I do? Well, I play Rhine for 14, but I think Nerd is better. It's a better rack leave, it's a better score, and it's less volatile. Now opponent plays IGAD, and I play Toya. Yeah, and I think Toya is better than Trier because it's better to have 2 consonants than one of each. Opponent's rack plays Chi, and this is where I considered Nertz, but then decided to change, and I still like that play. Opponent's rack, 5 vowels, plays a go. Empt K8. Yeah, possibly I do have the S for sticking on the end. It is 24 points. But the board is tight, and I choose to change, which does actually work out for me. Shortly, opponent plays Fur. Nowhere for Ramjets, L6. Ah, Jams and Toyas. Yep, burning the S. What do I do? Well, I play Jar for 22, retaining the S, so I think my play is better. Is EMRST 6 points better than ERT? Probably yes, I would say so. And it's a fairly good rule of thumb in terms of valuing rack leaves to think, well, what difference to this rack leave would it make if I drew a vowel? And if you think about it, drawing an A, E, I, O, or U is going to improve this rack. So EMRST is a really strong rack leave. It's only vulnerable to drawing two consonants, and even then, because you've got the vowel, you are likely to have options. So I would say this rack leave is more than 6 points better than ERT. ERT is nice, probably worth about 5 or 6 points, but EMRST could be worth as many as 15. Now, opponent's rack plays I, and that's fabulous because I'm able to get tempers down. Opponent's rack plays Sev, and now I feel I'm in a strong position. Opponent's play of Sev has really shut down the top right of the board, and there are limited bingo lanes elsewhere. So I played B-Pat for 30, and I still like that. Benzoate was playable. Where's that? Wow, look at that. That's a really fancy play, but I prefer B-Pat. Opponent plays Ek, and this gave me pause for thought. I had a good lead, but opponents opened the board up. What should I do? Toxine and Ect. Well, that's placing a consonant next to this triple word square, but more importantly, it's simply opening bingo lanes, whereas Next provides no column 15 bingo lanes, so I like my play. Opponent's rack, and look at this, opponent has a really good rack. And he has Nimblus, but that was the only bingo. And I lead by 80, 11 tiles in the bag. I play Foe. Yeah, and Foe is a better play than Far, because A is a better vowel to keep than the O. Opponent's rack, no bingo. Plays UH, and now I lead by 100, only 7 tiles in the bag. And I struggled here and played Eld for 14 and not very much else on offer. And certainly plays like EALE are hopeless. They're opening the board up and providing floaters. No bingo here for opponent. Plays Row. I play Utah for strategic reasons. I don't want to empty the bag. Wow. Opponent has... Oh, well, opponent does bingo. I was saying wow, thinking he hadn't bingoed because I could see a rising in row N, but he does bingo. And now, do I have a bingo on my final rack? No, I don't. But I could have played Pen Isil rather than Pencil for 2 more points, and Politic also a better play. And that was the end of that. So absolutely terrific game, really tight and cagey until I had the opportunity to put tempers down, and that really opened up a lead which I was pretty much able to maintain and extend throughout the rest of the game. So many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time. Now, I am moving house. I'm leaving this house in 2 days' time. My intention is to record 2 more videos before I leave, the last of which will be scheduled to be broadcast on Christmas Eve. Right now, the property I'm planning to move into is in some jeopardy. There may be a delay in moving in, and the property purchase may fall through. So I am, in the first instance, moving into a hotel, and I hope to make arrangements either on the property I'm buying or alternative arrangements in good time to ensure that there's no delay in terms of videos being uploaded to the channel. And I do have a couple of weeks to put my affairs in order, but should the channel full silent. That will be the reason, and it will only be an interim break until I can get a new studio set up in my future accommodation. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will see you next time.